Iran's judiciary has announced 2 executions, not battlefield casualties, not collateral damage. 2 men convicted by Iranian courts of spying for Israel at a moment Tehran clearly sees as one of its most sensitive security periods in years. The executions were carried out while the war with the United States and Israel is still unresolved, while the ceasefire remains under strain, and while Iran's military infrastructure is under closer foreign scrutiny than at any point since the revolution. The first man, Yaqub Karimpour, was accused by Iran's judiciary of espionage and cooperation with Mossad, and Iranian outlets framed the case in the harshest possible legal terms. According to the judiciary, Karimpour was found guilty of sending sensitive information to a Mossad officer. The severity of the framing tells you where Tehran places this kind of activity on its threat hierarchy. Iran is presenting Karimpour's actions less as routine espionage and more as wartime collaboration with an enemy state. The second man, Nasser Bakarzadeh, was convicted of transmitting data related to Iran's Natanz nuclear facility. That single detail elevates the case beyond a routine counterintelligence operation. Natanz is not just any military installation. It is the centerpiece of Iran's uranium enrichment program and the facility that has been at the center of every major confrontation between Tehran and the West over the nuclear file for more than 2 decades. It was the target of the Stuxnet cyber attack. It has been the subject of repeated IAEA inspections and diplomatic standoffs. And in this war, Natanz has again been treated as a top-tier target. Anyone caught transmitting data about Natanz to a foreign intelligence service is, from Tehran's perspective, helping the country that struck. But the executions did not stop there. Authorities also announced the hanging of Sultan Ali Shirzadi Faker, a man Tehran described as both a member of the Mujahideen-e-Khalq organization and a Mossad operative. According to Iranian officials, Shirzadi Faker joined the MKO after crossing into Iraq in 1987, where the group was based for years under the rule of Saddam Hussein. He was reportedly trained in heavy weapons, armored vehicles, and anti-aircraft systems. After the dismantling of Camp Ashraf in Iraq, he moved to Spain. Tehran alleges he was later recruited by Israeli intelligence to carry out a covert mission inside Iran, and that he re-entered the country under the pretext of visiting family. Iranian intelligence says it detained him before any operation could be carried out. He was convicted of mohareba, waging war against the state, along with terrorism-related charges. His case links 2 of Tehran's most persistent security concerns, the MKO and Israeli intelligence, into a single narrative. Then came the case of Mehdi Farhi, identified as a member of a civil defense unit within what the judiciary described as a sensitive organization. According to official reports, Farhi was convicted of passing classified information to Mossad. His sentence was upheld by the Supreme Court and carried out after the completion of all legal procedures. The significance of the Farhi case is the profile. This was not an outsider recruited from abroad. This was someone described as holding a position inside Iran's security apparatus. If the conviction is accurate, it means Israel had a source inside a sensitive institutional structure, and Iran wants the world to know it found him. The most recent execution was that of Amir Ali Mirjafari, whom state media identified as the leader of a network linked to Israeli intelligence. According to the judiciary, Mirjafari was convicted of setting fire to a mosque in Tehran during nationwide protests triggered by economic hardships, and was also accused of organizing what authorities called anti-security activities. His death sentence was upheld by the Supreme Court and carried out early on a Tuesday morning. Iran's framing of the case ties protest activity to foreign intelligence, a connection Tehran has insisted on since the unrest began. Whether that connection is substantive or a prosecutorial framing tool is a question Iranian courts are not designed to answer transparently. The executions triggered a public exchange between Tehran and Washington. President Trump claimed that 8 women were facing imminent execution in Iran, a statement that drew a sharp rebuttal from the judiciary. Iran's officials dismissed the allegation as misleading, stating that some of the individuals mentioned had already been released, while others faced charges that could result in prison sentences rather than execution. Tehran accused Trump of relying on inaccurate information and called his statements another example of what it described as repeated misinformation about Iran's internal legal processes. Trump had suggested that showing clemency could open the door to renewed diplomatic engagement, but Iranian authorities rejected that framing, emphasizing that judicial decisions are based on domestic law, not external political pressure. On the Israeli side, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu used a Memorial Day address to declare that Israel has removed an existential threat. But he made it clear the campaign is not finished. He said Israel has weakened its enemies and strengthened its national security, while warning that the broader effort against Iran continues. Standing alongside Argentine President Javier Milei in Jerusalem, Netanyahu said any moment could bring new developments. He described the conflict as a battle against what he called the great tyranny of Iran, which he said seeks to bring down Western civilization. Whether that framing reflects operational reality or political positioning ahead of continued military action is part of the same uncertainty that defines the entire conflict. Israel has long been linked to covert operations inside Iran, from cyber and sabotage claims to high-profile intelligence operations. Iran has responded with its own counterintelligence efforts, claiming to have dismantled multiple spy networks over the years. What is different now is that the shadow war is no longer in the shadows. Iran is publicizing the names, the charges, and the executions in a way that is designed to be heard outside its borders. The message is not just for the operatives who were caught, it is for the ones who have not been caught yet, and it is for the services that recruited them. So this is where it stands. 5 men executed in days, charges ranging from espionage to moharabeh, 1 case linked to Natanz, 1 to the MKO and Mossad, 1 to a defense insider, 1 to a network accused of arson, and a network accused of arson and destabilization. Trump called for clemency and was rebuffed. Netanyahu said the threat has been removed, but the fight continues. And through all of it, Tehran's judiciary kept issuing names and sentences, one after another, in a rhythm that was itself part of the message. Iran is treating espionage during this conflict not as illegal to be handled quietly, but as a wartime offense to be punished publicly. The intelligence war inside Iran has not paused for the ceasefire, and Tehran is signaling that clearly with every execution it announces. Subscribe to WLA for daily geopolitical analysis.